Hey guys, welcome back to the BFC where we go into the trenches of the trading world. I hope you're having a good day. Listen, lots of stuff going on with ILUS, QID, HTOO, SAML. I want to discuss this. I know a lot of you have read the PR. You're like, there's nothing there. I do think there are a lot of little tidbits that you really need to extract from it and focus on. We're going to get into that. And yes, we all know the share price sucks. It's beaten down. You know, many of you aren't happy with dilution. Many of you are not happy with the transparency and the consistency. But it looks like they're going to be ready to make some noise here. And I'm going to give my thoughts in a second, but this is one that I'm continuing to add. I know some of you think I'm absolutely crazy for doing it. It's become a running joke in my life. But I'm still adding ILUS. I'm still adding SAML. You know, I made a substantial position in QIND and DRCR. And listen, that's the truth. DRCR was a freaking nut punch to us. Absolutely. And so when you had what was supposed to be the sure shot pretty much dissolve, you know, the uplist, the contract, it didn't go through with SGN. That sucks. But what the thing is this, it doesn't take away from what DRCR is doing. It's a strong company, and I think it's a great play. And I think it's going to be a dollar stock. I think it's an absolutely smashing play. And it's a loss for SGN, in my opinion. So whatever. You know, and it shows in their share price. But I think DRCR is still going to be a victory. I think it's going to be a win. So I look at that as an ad. Anything under 18 cents, in my opinion, is gold. But hey, until it happens, you know, you guys could think I'm crazy. But enough about DRCR. I will say, yeah, you know, ILUS been beaten up. We know it. And we know the stock price. We know people are not happy. People are down a lot of money on the stock. So the company knows that they need to put up. And here we are again. SAML. I started buying it, you know, above a penny. And by the way, this thing moves very light. There it is. It's down here. What? Trip 9, dub 1. And so I'm just totally buying it. I have 60 million shares between both companies, and I'm going to continue to add when I can. So, and by the way, this thing moves so easy. So easy. And BFC Crew has tens and tens of millions of shares of SAML. So we have a lot locked of it, and we want to see this thing. We want to see this thing surge. If they bring in anything of significance, any big acquisition that they alluded to in the previous interviews, then this thing could go kablooey. And I want you to know that because, like I said, it's a 381,000 market cap at this point. So do I think they could get to a 20 million market cap? Yeah. Bring in the acquisitions, bring in the revenues, bring home the bacon, babies. Let's get this party started. We're waiting and waiting. Let's get into the most recent PR. Yes, they announced June 20th, 2025 in Miami. We will have the shareholder meeting. I'm going to try my absolute best to get down there. I can't wait to speak with the team, meet some of the investors I haven't seen in a long time. Arlix, are you going again? Maybe we go again. I know Jord Hug is always down for a good time. And I look forward to meeting a lot of you guys down there. Let me know in the comment section, are you going to go to the shareholder meeting? Some of you are like, not a chance in hell. And I get it. But, you know, between now and then, there's a lot that could happen. And so, by the way, I want to say I've been covering ILUS consistently out of anybody for the last 3 years. So, you know, whether you love them or hate them, you know, share your comments down below, but also like the content and share the content. This is one that I will die on this hill. All right. I will die on this hill. This is either going to be a great opportunity for us, and I've been taking advantage of these share prices, or I'm an idiot on this one. But whatever. You know what? I honestly believe in these guys, and I think that the share exchanges that they're doing, I think the uplifts for the subsidiaries are going to happen. But let me stay focused here. I want you to focus on this little tidbit down here, right? All right. As part of its ongoing initiatives to achieve its strategic growth objectives, ILUS successfully facilitated a share swap, tongue-tied today, guys, transaction with NASDAQ-listed Fusion Fuel Green in exchange for its majority ownership stake in OTC-listed Quality Industrial. So that's already done. It's been done. JP Backwell is the CEO of HTOO. Done. Have they done the share exchange yet on the commons? No, they have not. So we're waiting for that. But this is the tidbit I want you to take away from. All right. I want you to take this away. I cannot get my words straight today. Take this away. And it's coffee too. Could you believe it? Okay. Consequently, this transaction has led to ILUS emerging as the largest shareholder of HTOO on a fully diluted basis, possessing a total of about 36 million common shares in a combination of common and non-voting preferred shares. These shares are currently subject to the lockup period until May 28th, 2025, following which Rule 144 will apply. Listen, this is it, guys. This is what I believe is going to happen, okay? They're going to roll in some kind of a big acquisition or something for HTOO. It's going to drive up the value. By May 28th, ILUS itself will be able to dilute their shares or sell their shares for cash. With that cash, they could literally pay off debt, toxic debt. There's a lot that they could do. They could do share buyback. Who knows what they're going to do? But this puts them in a really, really, really strong spot. And anybody that is reading this is what you should come away from right here. They have a ton of shares of this company. And I know JP Backwell is working hard over there, HGOO. Maybe he has a big acquisition lined up. Maybe it's going to drive the cost to $1 to $2, and maybe that'll be around the time that they could sell a huge chunk of their common shares. I don't know. Maybe they'll do that. To me, it would be in their best interest too, because it could benefit the parent company, ILUS. But this is all speculation. This is not financial advice. All right. ILUS is entering a phase of renewed momentum characterized by several significant corporate developments anticipated before the upcoming shareholder meeting. And that's another little tidbit right there. All right. So obviously, we have a lot of news coming between now and June 20th. So a lot of dominoes have to line up before they flick them down. And I think that they're just getting there. All right. This is a pretty meaty update before the upcoming shareholder meeting. The company maintains its commitment to advancing its growth trajectory and delivering sustained long-term value to its shareholders. All right. Mr. John Paul Backwell stepped down from he's gone at ILUS. He's not the managing director anymore. Same thing for SML. He's no longer involved with SML. The truth is, his focus needs to be on HGOO and QID. And quite frankly, it doesn't look good if you have, a COO of a NASDAQ company, and then they're a CEO here, a managing director there, and they're involved in all these. It creates a conflict of interest. So his sole purpose right now, his drive is making sure HGOO gets off the ground and making sure that share exchange happens for QID. So yes, so it's not a shock that this has happened. It's not like he's severing ties with Nick Link and they got an argument and he's no longer associated. He's very well associated with the ILUS group, just under QID and HGOO. So please know that. There's a quote here from Nick Link, and he talks about how the last 2 years have been extremely tough. Aspects such as changing government, all these things, macroeconomics. He goes on about that. And so, guys, read the PR. Pause it and read it if you want. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but he does talk about that. And so he does talk about, creating significant real liquid asset value for ILUS shareholders by executing the QID HGO transaction, which may drastically improve ILUS liquidity. And right now, I think the biggest elephant in the room is the toxic debt, and they want to get out of that. They need to get out of that. When you go from well under a billion to where we're at now, this is not where we want to be. And so this is a strong indication that they are going to execute on that. And so they have the official save the date announcement. Yes, they did file NT10K, so they will report late, of course. And by the way, listen, a lot of these companies do that. All right. This isn't a shock, when they filed for the extension. That's why the extension is there. It's when they miss that extension, that's when it becomes a problem. So I'm not worried about this one bit. I think it's going to get done. And so, they basically talk about why they're going to be late. They address SEC comments on its previous filings and disclosures, many of which are technical accounting matters, and some of which require going back to earlier periods. And so they talked about how they changed their auditors. And so that takes a lot of work. And anybody that's been around the OTC and has followed a lot of these companies, working with a handful of auditors that are in charge of covering all these tickers, it's a pain in the butt. So this is a good indication. You want them to have a solid auditing team, and they're going back 2 years previous. So that's a strong indication too. And so let's take a look down here. How this team is diligently engaged in the completion of its submission of its annual report. All right. Management expresses gratitude to the shareholders for their understanding and assures them that the delay is not attributable to any issues. Rather, it reflects ongoing enhancements and the resolution of previously raised regulatory comments for which the SEC's review was concluded. Nevertheless, the company is dedicated to addressing these comments and striving for additional improvements to facilitate more streamlined registration processes in the future. Okay, so that's a strong PR in my opinion. I think we need to, between now and June 20th, we're going to get some substantial news. I would hope. We need to get this party started. Are you listening, Nick? Are you listening, JP? I want to get this. Let's get this thing going. I know you guys are, the ILUS Discord group, the ILUS community is starving, and they want to get this thing going. And many of us are still loading while we're doing it. So, while the price goes up and some people may skadoots, I'm in it for the long haul. I want to get my average as low as possible. I want to make as much money on the stock as possible. And so I consider myself a long-term investor, and I will probably be holding shares for many years to come. But we need a turnaround. We need liquidity. And so let's talk about the SAML PR that they put out. All right. SAML currently operates 7 public safety subsidiaries, which used to belong to ILUS. All right. These businesses are undergoing efficiency and cost reduction initiatives to better align resources and optimize cash flow while building a robust management team to support the company's uplisting ambitions. All right. And it talks about how, like many OTC companies, the company has faced challenges raising capital over the last 2 years. And it's a shame because, a lot of these companies, they have good ideas. They need funding. And when funding is not there, the funding conditions get worse. So some are better than others. So that's, they say right here, ILUS believes it has a clear path to significant capital access during the next quarter. It's anticipated that SAML will benefit greatly from improved investment, cash flow, and liquidity, allowing to revitalize the cash-starved subsidiaries and reignite its growth and acquisition plans. And I do think that QID has a lot to do with that. And that's the beauty of having the parent company, the redistribution. All right. Streamlining public safety division. All right. In 2024, SAML faced challenges scaling its public safety division due to the business's capital-intensive nature and limited access to growth capital. To address these challenges, the company has implemented operational improvements to enhance cost efficiency and plans to advance previously delayed product certifications. And he talks about there's no beating around the bush. The last 18 months in the ERT business have been extremely tough with limited access to working capital. However, it always comes down to the funding. All right. So, however, we expect those days are rapidly ending as a parent company and anticipates being in a stronger position to assist with working capital. And I think that comes right down to the HGO QID thing, like I was saying. SAML is exploring non-cash intensive acquisitions that can add scale and enhance the company's market presence to supplement organic growth. All right. Revitalizing the industrial electric vehicle business. Many of you were talking, what the hell's going on with E-Raptor? Is it a thing anymore? Well, it looks like it's alive and well. SAML's E-Raptor division, which focuses on industrial electric vehicles, will also receive renewed focus in 2025. Resource constraints in 2024 led to stalled production and R&D activities. Management aims to resume production and enhance research and development efforts to capitalize on the growing demand for innovative industrial EV solutions. So that's good. Exploring opportunities. Over the past 36 months, the world has changed considerably in almost all areas, including but not limited to governments, costs, inflation, financing, access to capital. There it is again. They love saying that. Technology, geopolitics, energy demands. Listen, they need to be versatile, and that's what they're doing. We're still here. They're still communicating with us. If they wanted to rug pulls and split or do something like that, they could have been done a long time ago. Yeah. And you guys were talking about pitchforks in the Discord. I think we'd see some of those if that happened, but I think they're strengthening their positions here. And, QID and HGO, that going through is going to help dramatically. I keep coming back to that for the obvious reason. Well, what I think is the obvious reason. Corporate updates. All right. It talks again here about the fact that JP is stepping down as CEO and director of the company to devote his efforts to developing NASDAQ-listed Fusion Fuel Green. All right. A corporation in which SAML's parent entity, ILUS, remains substantial shareholding. So it's all right there. Mr. Link will temporarily assume the duties of CEO while the company recruits a new permanent CEO. Then Mr. Backwell will remain as an advisor to the company. So what they're probably going to do is they're probably going to get a big acquisition. I hope. This is me totally speculating right now, but big acquisition comes in. That CEO becomes CEO of SAML. I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry. So I don't know. No, we're not talking about. We need to talk about them. We already talked about them last week. So, SAML talks about how they changed auditors, as the whole group, across the whole group. So we already discussed all this. So I don't know. They're hiring specialists. They're getting more people involved. So that way these things aren't a problem in the future. They talk about here, but I'm not going to read it word for word. I mean, I'm sort of just summarizing, but read the PR and let me know, what do you actually think about ILUS and SAML and all these? What's going to happen? What's going to go down? Are they going to succeed, or do you think it's a lost cause at this point? What do you think is going to happen? I'm all in. I've been all in. I haven't left the community. I just wanted to sit down with you guys for a couple minutes and just sort of skim through this and just give you my thoughts. But I do think they will succeed. It just takes one. If the QIND exchange goes well, all right. One, if ILUS is able to sell a big chunk of shares and retain some cash, that's going to help this situation immensely, especially on the debt side, especially on the dilution side. All right. That's one. If the QIND exchange goes well and it's sitting down here at 2 cents and they exchange for a rate of 20, 30, 40, 50 cents, which is very possible. All right. You heard it here. That is a strong indicator. And it gives money in the pockets of people that want to invest more in ILUS and SAML. And I remember Nick Link saying, and he used the term self-cannibalistic, because a lot of people, they're all invested in these companies. All right. They're invested in QIND. They're like, if QIND has a huge return and ILUS and SAML haven't ran yet, where do you think I'm going to probably go? In the ones that haven't ran yet. I'm going to take profit and go there. At the end of the day, and JP said this, they still believe, and the whole goal is to get ILUS high value. And so that's the ticker right there. ILUS. It's all going to come back to there. So right now, I think the ILUS and SAML are complete buys right here. I think QIND is a complete buy. I think the share exchange is going to go well, but anything can happen. Look what happened with DRCR. I bring that full circle right there. Look what happened there. So, plan your trade your plan, or just scream and run for the door. I don't know what you want to do. I know I'm in this one. I'm adding. I'm going to continue to add. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I will die on this freaking hill. So, whether you're bullish, bearish, share your comments down below. Share the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Turn on your notifications, because I have a lot of interviews coming up. And we're getting really excited in the BFC Discord. I know a lot of us are itching to get some liquidity, and we are going to get going. And by the way, the BFC project I'm looking to go public, with a company of my own. And so I'm excited about that. And that will be this year, knock on wood. That's the goal. I'm not giving you an OTC timeline, but, I can't wait to, get into the nitty gritty. And what better way than becoming an OTC CEO? So hopefully I learned from some of the good, the bad, and the ugly here on the BFC. But that's all I got. I really hope you guys have a good day. I'll see you later. And remember, there's more that binds us and breaks us. Peace out.